backup lights. Guys, we have backup lights.
Get that stuff. Welcome to Conversation 473.
We have that.
Welcome to the program Conversation 473. Tonight we're talking about NAWASA. We're hearing that NAWASA is moving into some new frontier. They are talking about bottled water. We will explore that topic, and also news coming in that of an alleged assault against a local person at the hands of a family in one of the more affluent areas of St. George's. I believe it's Fort Judy or one of those affluent areas. And that's also going to be one of our topics. Earl Joseph Maitland, one of our major activists in Grenada, is on the program tonight to share insights with us on both topics. Kitaka and Rolanda are also here, of course. Guys?
Hey, Kalishta, what's up? The guys in the back are having a field day. Archer and guys, showtime. We need you guys to be a little quiet. And I guess you guys are a little burdened journalists over there. Oh, what's up, bro? How you doing, Miss McQueen?
Really well. I'm a bit tired. I have been working overly hard, but everything is lovely. Thank you very much. And how are you?
I'm good. I had a long day today. I actually got wet on my way home a while ago.
Wow.
But it was good. A nice walk through the village of Monjalo.
And how are you, Earl?
I'm good. A pleasant good afternoon to everybody. I'm Kalishra, Kitaka, Miss McQueen. Good afternoon to all the viewers as well. Thank you for having me here once again. I have been really enjoying your shows over the last few weeks, right? So it's a pleasure to be here once more.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you, Earl. You're like a breath of fresh air.
It's McQueen. I have a crush on all, and I find every time you're always giving all these kind of compliments. How is it going on?
I wish Earl was older.
Age is just a number. The Prime Minister getting on.
I go for the more mature man.
That's good.
Earl might be young in numbers, but he's very.
And I may be too old. I may be too old for the Prime Minister. I may be too old for the Prime Minister anyway.
It's McQueen in all situations. Have you heard about cougars?
I want to be able to get up to go to work in the morning. I have to run the country. I don't want to be sleeping.
Well, I think the Prime Minister still gets up very early and goes to jog. He's still able to get out of bed.
Don't go.
Despite I am the queen of going there. I cannot help it.
Don't go there, Kalisha.
Some very serious happenings in the country that I'm sure the Prime Minister would prefer that we don't go there on. A lot of stuff happening that one would think you're in the twilight zone, from the hijacking of the nutmeg industry, which of course needed regulation because the previous boards have not really served the industry well. But the actions of this government must be of concern to people given the history of selling us out to foreigners. That is happening. Then you have the Grenlec situation, and of course what we're talking tonight about, the NAWASA situation. We've had conversation. We've been hearing a lot about some Chinese company wanting to get their tentacles into NAWASA, and that they would be buying the company, buying the statutory body. But the living now is that NAWASA is investigating, doing market research in order to do bottled water. So, doing value added products and increasing production and economic activity in the country is always a good thing. But in the NAWASA situation, we'll talk tonight about whether or not NAWASA is in a position to begin doing something else with the water that they are producing besides providing pipe-borne potable water to the public. We'll talk about that and whether or not this market research has anything to do with the Chinese having an interest in taking over our water supply in Grenada. So what do we know so far about it? I know, Kitaka, you have some information regarding NAWASA's public advertisement about the market research.
Yeah, well, I'll read it. It was posted on June 24th at 9:34 a.m. and it reads, Expressions of interest. Consultant to produce a business plan for the startup of a bottled water venture for the National Water and Sewage Authority, NAWASA. NAWASA is seeking a consultant to assess the local bottled water industry and to indicate to NAWASA the necessary steps for the startup and operational requirements for a bottled water manufacturing plant. This will be a 4-month contract with a fixed fee commensurated with qualifications and experience. Application process, send a cover letter responding to the terms of reference that includes a CV which will contain at least 2 references from completed relevant work and a proposed work plan and budget. Applications must be submitted to the general manager. So the key thing here is NAWASA is seeking a consultant to assess the local bottled water industry to see what's the steps that NAWASA has to take, to set up a bottled water manufacturing plant. So I think this is a bold statement, like they have made a decision that they want to go forward. That is what I'm gathering from this. So I don't know what you guys are getting from this, but if you're looking for the next steps, that means you have already made a decision. Ms. McQueen, you're in this industry. Like, when you first heard that news, like, what was the first thing that came to mind for you?
I love competition. That's one of the things I love. I think competition is healthy and it makes people step up on the game. What I think, I am so busy worrying about looking after Montpellier. I don't really care about the other water companies. But what I do, I think NAWASA own all the water or have a right to all the water source in Grenada, which I do not think is the right thing. Something like that does not encourage Grenadians to have entrepreneurs. I mean, I could go in England and I could buy a spring and start making water. It seems like here we only want a few people to become millionaires. I mean, if, at the moment, the 3 water companies that we have here cannot supply the demand of water, the water that we need in Grenada. So I prefer to see a Grenada company, if it is owned by Grenadians, I think I prefer to see that than like seeing foreign water coming in, because I think if it's a Grenada water, we'll be able to have more employment. We'll be able to keep the water in the country. But then at the same time, it is so expensive bringing in the materials to make water. I hope that it would be an even playing ground, and the NAWASA is not going to be coming in to send the smaller water company out of business. But competition, I love. I think it is good, and if it's Grenada owned, maybe I think it's even better.
Kalishta, what say you about that statement? I'm actually not hearing you, Kalishta. Fix it. Check your mic. I'm not hearing you clearly. No, I'm not hearing you at all. Yes, sort it out and we'll get back to you. That statement that I just read there, like what's your initial take from what you just heard?
Okay, so with reference to the statement that you just made, it does sound as though a decision was made. They're speaking about bringing in a consultant to get a job done. But should I further elaborate as to my take on the situation or just the statement?
You can go in.
Okay. So basically, I have some concerns as it relates to NAWASA actually providing bottled water. Now, I believe that when someone is a part of something, they should first almost come to perfection in that area, right? We have seen the quality of water that NAWASA has provided to Grenada over the years. We have also seen the quantity, especially during the dry season, sometimes even in the rainy season. It's a problem to get water in certain parts of the country, namely Migra, Labari, and they're not doing a proper job. You know, I believe that they need to buck up. When we look through social media, we have seen persons actually posting water that yeah, the quality is somewhere around the color is it looks like cocoa tea, you know, and this is not the type of service or the type of quality of water that we would hope to have in the bottle. Personally speaking, I have little faith in the company as it stands. I mean, we do have, I believe, 3 or 4 local companies here bottling water. I believe that, you know, more support should be offered to those companies. We do have a problem. I believe that, you know, every time one person has a business, we have so many other persons coming and opening those businesses when we could actually redirect our energies and efforts to elsewhere so we could have a more diverse economy, right? What continues to confuse me as well, I know that the Mount Pure brand has brought Grenada onto the world map. Ms. McQueen, I believe, would have won 2 awards, I believe. Ms. McQueen, is it 2 or 1 award that you have won so far?
Yes, I have one. We have one. Well, I like to say we because I believe Grenada water belongs to all of us. We have won bronze for the best bottled water in the world, and then we won silver for the best sparkling water in the world. But you know, it's not something that is. We've only been going 2 years, and it takes a lot of hard work and dedication. It's not something where people think we just come up because remember from my background I am coming from fashion. I always, I was the only black woman in England with a chain of clothes shop in upmarket area. So that's what I try to do is to bring the best out of what we have in Grenada. But as I said, something else I've seen, guys, I've seen a lot of things happen here where rules and regulations are broken because of who is in business. So, I see lawyers doing things, I see people doing things. So maybe it's a good thing in a way if the market is open up and some of the things that is people are getting away with before, maybe they won't be able to get away with it before. Sorry, they won't be able to get away with it now. There's a lot of underhands that goes on in Grenada. And sometimes I think to myself, even in the car industry, everywhere, it's only a very small group of people that is making money. So now it is open up. I mean, what is going to happen for Carnival? If NAWASA has the monopoly, are they going, maybe I'm not the only one that's going to get my fingers squeezed in the door. Maybe myself, Glenn and Polly will be going and fighting together and saying, no, let us all partake, give every one of us, let us all be on a level playing field. So it's a good thing. It's about time. Grenadans, yeah.
But what I'm saying that it takes me back to something also, which I think is very important. My question I have for you guys is, since NIM Nawasa has had issues with getting its customers who pay them monthly, religiously, clean water on a timely manner all the time, since that has been an issue, like people in St. George's and certain areas and so on have their stories to tell. You could see the rants on Facebook where either they don't get water or it's very dirty. So the 2 questions I have is, how is NAWASA going to ensure what investment is taking place now to ensure that the water supply they have is going to be purified to the level that is good for consumption like that? And additionally, how is this private venture to sell bottled water going to affect the current supply that we get on a day-to-day basis? Like, is that going to affect me in terms of being able to get my water on time and get my water consistently and get my water clean? Like, I want those questions to be answered, because I think it
But that's
worries me a
why
bit.
But that's why people are saying they think it's a private company that is coming in. They don't believe it is NAWASA. I have no inside information, but someone said when a Grenadian passes a gossip, usually 1% of it may be true. I was told that NAWASA is not the one that's going to be controlling it. It's a foreign investor. As I say, I don't know about it. It's just a gossip. But NAWASA has a lot of work to do, so I do not know how they're going to. Maybe they may get a spring somewhere, and it would have nothing to do with the water. So maybe they're not going to be bottling the tap water, because then again we have Aqua Blue, who has just built a huge factory. It would be sad if NAWASA come and try to compete with them, whereas Earl said they have so much catching up to do and giving us good quality water, because Aqua Blue has spent millions on their products, trying to bring us good water. So it would be a shame if they were to come and now trying to compete with them.
Okay.
And
Okay, well, Kalista, are you back with us, Kalista?
Are you
Yeah, yeah,
able to hear me now, Kitaka?
yeah, loud and clear, loud and
Can you
clear.
hear me?
So, yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, so I never really did need earphones for my device. Um, yeah, well, you guys have touched on it already. NAWASA is having a lot of difficulty fulfilling the current mandate that they have. What I envision happening is that because it is likely that NAWASA is doing this in order to make profit, um, or else they are setting the groundwork for another entity which will take over NAWASA, and whose main focus might be bottling Grenada's very high quality water for export. Whichever one it is, time will tell. But the company is already doing a very bad job in providing Grenadians with a clean, consistent supply of potable water. I mean, people up in St. Paul's, in Mount Airy, and so for weeks on end do not have water running through their pipes, and this is sometimes even in the rainy season, not even in the dry season. Sometimes when there's a drought, NAWASA has one of the things that they're concerned about is the fact that they are they're having difficulty providing clean water to people. So I'm not sure how going into bottled water now, how that is going to work. I assume that if you're going into a profit making aspect of your business, that the other aspects that don't serve your profit margin so well will suffer. So it's quite likely that water from places like St. Mark's, and so the people in St. Mark's and so could begin to have problems with water. We've never had a water problem in St. Mark, either for consistency or for quality. And if NAWASA is going into bottled water, it's quite likely that that is one of the main areas where they're going to source that water from. It means that they're either going to have to massively increase production there, or the potable water, the pipe-borne water customers would end up having to suffer troubles that they've never had before with water. So I don't think that NAWASA going into bottled water is a good thing, especially since we already have a Grenadian company that is bottling um, potable water. Aqua Blue is not doing spring water; they're doing the water. They're bottling the water that NAWASA produces. They are also doing that. It does not help the cause when a statutory body tries to come in the market on a company that is just beginning to find its feet. Competition at this point is not healthy for Aqua Blue necessarily. They suffered a massive fire in their plant. They are recovering. They've made new investments. They've shown commitment to the Grenadian economy. by doing what they have done so far since their plant went down where they operated before. Now, NAWASA coming in will come in at an advantage over a company like Aqua Blue, for instance, because NAWASA owns all of the infrastructure. Okay, they are the ones who are producing the water. Aqua Blue is buying the water from them. So whatever goes into the bottle is going to cost Aqua Blue more than it would cost NAWASA if NAWASA is bottling their potable water. So already, even if they're both paying the same for a bottle and a cap and a label, the product that's going in, NAWASA is already paying much, much less for it because Aqua Blue is their customer. So already the playing field is already set up to create massive disadvantage for a company that has invested in Grenada, which concerns me, which worries me, along with all of the other crazy things that have been happening here over the last few years and definitely over the last few months. Now, the situation about the Chinese wanting to buy NAWASA or having bought NAWASA, I suppose wanting to buy because I couldn't believe we sold our water company and it's still a secret. I don't expect that all of this bottled water is going to be available for sale on the local market anyhow. I expect that, even before this issue with the bottled water came up and people were talking about the Chinese, the government wanting to give our water to the Chinese, one of the things I said was that as soon as that happens, one of the first things we are going to see is our water being bottled and shipped out of the country by the thousands and millions of gallons. And so I am not surprised that with the Chinese in the mix, the name being called in the mix, that the company is preparing to begin to bottle our water. It probably isn't even going to be for the local market. It's probably going to be heading out of the country. And so we have to be very, very careful about that. But so the long and short of it is that I don't think that NAWASA is ready to go. They need to get what they're doing right. Because certainly they cannot bottle that brown bush tea water that they've been giving people who are paying them every month for water. They certainly cannot bottle that. So it means that people will probably have to get more of that coming through their pipe while the good water is bottled for them. I think at this point in time, it would be a mistake. They're about to invest millions to upgrade NAWASA. And so the focus really should be on what's coming through the pipes before they begin to bottle.
Kalistra,
and even the strain on our water supply would be massive as well.
Yeah, but Kalistra, I think I'm not sure. I mean, also since one now staff is their staff and so on is always out in the mountains and so on. I see a guy here. I'm not sure who this is. That's Teddy Christopher, and he made a statement saying lots of NAWASA water sources is in St. Patrick's and from some springs. So I guess NAWASA may also have a very extensive knowledge as to where a lot of our other springs and other water sources are, and could potentially tap into that as well if they want to go that route. But for me, as you say, I echo your sentiment, Kalistra. I don't think that should be a priority right now. In terms of NAWASA, they really have to get to produce water, to bring water to us in a more efficient way and to do that exceptionally well and consistently over time before they could think about switching focus to bottling water out. And that point you made there about the Chinese, it's very worrying to me because it's sad that our Caribbean leaders are not seeing how China is slowly just taking over a lot of these key crucial things of our society, some of the pillars of our society, controlling ports, controlling utility companies. That is a national security issue because you cannot have outside power having such strength and control over your engines of your country, because water is life. So for me, I'm very, very concerned about that, and that's not something I would be happy and would go to bed good at night to know that a Chinese company or so is controlling, our water supply. That is dangerous. That's a national security issue.
Well, as Kalisha has said, and I know because I speak to Accor Blue and them, they have spent, they have suffered a lot. They had suffered a great loss with the fire. And they could have easily have thrown the towel in and said, something, I'm going home. But I know the owner was so concerned about his workers not being able to find work that they came back and they invested. They have this huge plant. I myself have invested every penny of my retirement money in Grenada. If we cannot compete against NAWASA. And, as I say, I love competition. I think competition is healthy, but not in the way of trying to get other business people out of business. Because again, NAWASA cannot come in, and because they control, I mean, the government should never let any single company control the water of Grenada. Nobody, as you said, Kitaka, water is life. It's not something where one company should be able to have total control over it. It's like somebody having control over your life. And how do we know what type of water we'll be getting? Maybe they may be sending all the good spring water to exporting it, and we will be they'll be leaving here for us all the water from the run-ups from the soil that we know that is contaminated. And now what I just put in an announcement out like that, it seems like Grenadians does not have a say. It's like they just decide we are going to do it and we are going to do it. That I think is quite sad as well.
So, as Ms. McQueen made the point there, we will all most likely in the first instant welcome a new business venture, right? But we have to look at how it would affect the already existing companies. Now, some persons might say, this is employment would be available when this company comes into play, when the bottled water comes into play. But we also have to look at it from the point of view that we have locally owned companies by individuals as Ms. McQueen herself, and how would it affect their sales? And if their sales are affected, then what would happen to the workers? Would Ms. McQueen or would Danelg or Pooley, would they have to send home their workers? So we have to look at all of these different things. And my personal take, as I said, I believe that instead of bringing in a consultant to actually figure out how NAWASA should be bottling water, they should get a consultant to figure out how they could get Grenadians the clean, purified water that Grenadians are already paying for. In recent times, I have been brought back to the young days, my youthful days, where I actually had to go to a standpipe somewhere in St. Paul's just to get water because we had so many events where water was not available at the home. And there's an obvious crisis when it comes to water, especially in the dry season. And there's so many things that need to be dealt with before this venture is being made. As I said earlier, we have to look at the point of fact that the water quality that is being provided now in Grenada could actually it could hamper the health of someone who consumes it. We have seen all the dust, we have seen all the particles, we have seen even the color of the water, and it says more than just the eye. And I personally, I am not confident in just consuming water like that or using the water just to cook. Sometimes you might have to, boil the water or just purchase, one of the favorite bottles of Monk Pure water, even to throw into a pot to season some chicken and cook the chicken or whatever it is, because you don't want that type of quality to enter your system, right? The implications are real. And I wouldn't even go into the condition of the hospital and everything like that. But if somebody gets sick off of that, I mean, we really need to look at what we're doing first, deal with it, do it in a right way, and then we can move on.
Well, it's important to say that because even recently, I have a friend who currently doing a thesis and finishing a master's in water systems. And I wanted to really find out what's going on. Do you know that there's actually also a project going on right now in Grenada where they're trying to solve some of our water problems, our water issue problems? And when I spoke to a key person, they're saying that a crucial issue in Grenada is the fact that we don't have a technological monitoring system. So Grenada is losing a lot of water because of burst pipes all over, and sometimes they can't even locate the leaks because we don't have a centralized location system where we could look and see, okay, this main have a burst, this main, unless somebody call or you don't see water in the road, it might be in the bush water we're seeing right now. We don't know because we don't have a system to manage that. Also, our storage capacity is not the greatest as well. So there's a lot of things that NAWASA knows about now based on research has already been done in terms of what is affecting the water supply. Even the concentration of um, commercial activity and hotels and so on within the south of the island. How much strain that puts on our water supply, you know, within the south. And so there are a lot of things that has to be resolved before I think NAWASA can go that route. But I think it makes it more plausible that it may not even be them, but it's an invisible hand that is maybe using them to get their hands on understanding the geographical layout of our water to be able to tap into our resources. Because Grenada have to understand now that a lot of the countries are kind of not so good as a result of COVID. Everybody eyeing Grenada. You know? Even people now wish they could just take a plane and fly down here. We don't have much cases. We still have it natural environment kind of intact. Everything pure and nice, best nutmeg, best cocoa. The world is looking at Grenada as a safe house now and to really exploit, you know. So we had to stand up and say, okay, our resources is valuable, but that's all we have. The money could go get inflated and the value could drop, the car depreciating, but our natural resources, the plants, the water, and so on, we have to protect those things. And so for me, I think we really need to ensure that our water supply and things don't go south with NAWASA making that step. NAWASA, I think you have to go back to the drawing board. That is not a priority. Don't make that step.
One of the things, Kitaka, under the climate change fund, NAWASA is going to be able to access millions of dollars for dealing with things like storage capacity. This is part of the project that has to be done for them to increase storage capacity to harvest rainwater and a few other things in order to create a situation where we have greater security with our water supply. So wondering whether or not this venture into bottling the pipe-borne water, the potable water, is they probably have some money under that the climate change fund, which they're hoping to utilize with that as well. I don't recall if bottling the water is part of the whole climate change fund project. I don't recall seeing that in all of the documents and so, but I may be wrong. So hopefully they would be able to bottle the water because whenever they get these great ideas, it goes ahead whether the public wants it to happen or not. It happens. Grenadians have absolutely no say in what goes on in the country with our important resources and assets and institutions. Like absolutely no say that the masses have in what's going on. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen anyhow, unless some drastic action is taken by the public to stop it from happening if it is deemed detrimental to the welfare and well-being of the public as far as the water supply is concerned. And you're right, Kitaka, another problem we have is being unable to determine our water usage in general and what we're losing and so on, because the system does not exist where NAWASA can read its output, to determine, okay, in this particular area, this is the amount of gallons that is normally available or that's output in a particular area, and for this month or for the last few months it has dropped, and then they can determine whether or not it's because of a leak or some sort of problem. There are no means of tracking what's going on with the water once it hits the lines. They can really only monitor at the dams and then monitor what the customer is using. In between, there is no system for checking what's going on. And so like you said, you have pipes that are bust for months and some even for years, and a lot of water getting lost, and with NAWASA not being the wiser. And so, if there's money to spend, that's one of the other areas that they need to deal with, to improve the entire system, so that the public can get better water and better service. I mean, water is so important and so essential. And you know what one of the things that worries me though is how little faith the the leaders have in the Grenadian people, that we are always willing, and it's not even so much about the bottled water, no, but just on the issue of selling NAWASA to the China, giving our water supply to the Chinese. Um, how little faith we have, the leaders have in our people, that they're always looking for a foreigner to help us out. That our electricity supply should go into foreign hands, and our nutmeg industry is about to go into foreign hands, because I'm telling you that this is the direction that is going, to allow a particular set of people to be able, just a second, Tizi, to be able to have control of our nutmegs on the international market. So our water, our electricity, our nutmeg industry, just as at the end of the day, we will have nothing. Our hotel sector, somebody just commented a while ago on the chat that an Egyptian billionaire is buying up all of the small hotels, and of course that's not a secret. He did say that several years ago when Silver Sands was, the drawings were sorry, yes, Zizi, Asher, help Zizi, and stay onto the camera view. Help him, please. Help him. Sorry, guys. I have to do double duty as a mommy and the talker here. When Naguib Sawiris, who owns Silver Sands, very early in the game, even before they had, when they were turning the sword, he did say that he would be buying up a lot of the small hotel properties. So now he's going to own a big chunk of some of the prime property in St. George's, in the Grand Dance and Lansing and True Blue areas, and so because and most of these small hotel properties were owned by, a lot of them were owned by Grenadians. So what what you end up having now is one guy owning the bulk of properties, because he has the money to buy it, and it's there and it's available, and the government, the state has never really made a good faith effort to help small hoteliers survive. I mean, we know about the Garden Group situation and how that went south. And as usual, in the Grenada theme song of monies disappearing, monies that are intended to help the small guy in the country, just disappears and floats away. And this is what happened with the Garden Group project, when there were a few $1 million available to bail out the small hotels, and that also went south. So now, the Sawiris, the Egyptian billionaire, and we can call his name because this is common, well, I don't know if it's common knowledge, but this is information that was made public, that he would be buying up a lot of the lands, a lot of the small hotels that went under or struggling and so on. So, the foreign investment is an important part of economic development, but I think when we hang our hats just solely on foreign investors and tourism, we'll find ourselves with our people being oppressed, and any little sneeze in our source markets, and we have to shut down the whole country and suffer. So we need to come up with a better plan than
But
Kalishtra,
one of the
Markin,
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
before we go, Miss Markin, just one line. I was talking to somebody, Kalishtra, and what they said to me? They say the investors and them, the average investor is like an average Grenadian. The only difference, most of them, some of them have money. And they don't really have that best interest of heart for sustainable development of the country. So it does worry me that we just look to that as our saving grace and just further degrade our country. But anyway, Miss Marquin, come in one time.
I totally agree with you. One of the thing is, it's Kalisha, it's fine, as I say, competing, but when you have some government, I personally, from experience, I remember going for a property, and somebody that worked in the government was going against me to buy that property for a foreigner. I offered a significant amount of money, more than that person was getting for the land. and that person that worked in government bought the land on behalf of a foreigner, and I was kicked out of it, and I was paying $100,000 more. I offered that more, and it took a lot longer to sell. The people really wanted to sell it to me. They did not want to sell it to a foreigner, but somebody that worked for the government was involved, and I lost the property. So I have so many friends that are going behind properties, and there is one name that keep coming up. Oh, this person bought the property. This person bought the property. I know one Canadian man that sold some property to this person in Birch Grove, and he said he regrets it up to this day. But there are still lots of Grenadians that will not sell to foreigners, especially those that has lived abroad. They want to sell to Grenadians. There is a lot of people that are doing that now. And one of the things that is surprising me, guys, they are buying all the farms, and I've said that before. And the farmland now has gone up so high that Grenadians cannot afford to buy it. So because of our soil, because we have good soil, our rainfall, we have people coming in. So it's like slavery all over again, that they are coming in and buying the land, and we are the one doing the planting. We are the one out there that's going to be out there doing all the planting, doing all the hard work, and the people coming in, because it seems like nobody really cares or look after us. And as Kitaka says, they go to the bank will give them the money, the bank will help them out, the bank will give them whatever they want. Somebody said to me they went to this Chinese place in Las Vegas, and they saw 4 equipment there that is good for helping the farmers here to toil the soil. And they were told it's been there for 6 months. And this person was saying they could do with that. They need it now. But it seems, if they had lent it to one farmer in St. David's for a couple of months and pass it around, I really do not know how people do things here, how people organize, but all what I can say, I'm doing my little bit. So Grenadians can know we have very good things here, and don't rely on the government. I know it's difficult, I know it's expensive, but let us try and get recognition. We're not going to get it here, but let us try and get it abroad. So in that way, we can encourage the others to do the same.
Miss McQueen, I point out make Karisha, before you come in, one thing Grenadian people have to understand the importance of knowing like assets is greater than even cash, because cash does appreciate, and too much of people are still selling other resources for cash, and they're forgetting the value that land has, and how land is like the basic fundamental thing of wealth. The variable of wealth is land. Land is wealth. It's the greatest wealth you could have, and it appreciates. And so we need to stop selling our lands for some little piece of paper. If you understand what I'm saying, like we cannot continue to allow the people to come with a little piece of paper that every year it depreciates, and we're giving away our prime land with spring water, with nice soil, with sour soup, with nutmeg for it. You understand? So I had to put in that point there before Miss McQueen finish the college. So come back in.
Oh well, I was going to ask Miss McQueen if the land she was trying to buy had nutmegs on it.
Well, it was like 7 acres. It had cocoa. It had a lot of cocoa. I knew what they wanted to do, and it was just it was so sad to see. I could understand if it was a private person, but when somebody that works for the government fighting to take land from a local to give it to a foreigner, it is very, very worrying. It is very, very worrying.
It is because you probably did not show any interest in providing a kickback on the deal.
Yes.
So you certainly would not have gotten it. The favor would go to the person who is willing to provide a kickback on the deal. That is well established.
But look at what Kalisha just said. We just have to look across the pond to South Africa. where black people are, land is wealth, where black people are fighting Zimbabwe. You know, these people and them has remained poor from generation to generation, where we have the foreigners came in, they took the land, and then we were slave. We couldn't make anything of ourselves. Now our ancestors has worked so many years in the plantation that they were enabled to buy land to pass on, and they left it to us, and we are happily selling it on for a couple of $100,000 that cannot even build a house or even give them a decent lifestyle. I think what the government should do for foreigners, they shouldn't sell land. They should lease the land, even if they lease it to them for 100 years, and then afterwards it goes back to the government. But now land are so expensive that the
Miss
young
McQueen,
people cannot buy.
Miss McQueen, for me, Miss McQueen, I don't even feel they should even lease any land to any foreign person. Grenadians have to own the land. I standing by that form. My grandparents and them work too hard, joke too much on nutmeg and cocoa on the back and work too hard, yeah? For me and you and so on to have to go and see a man from another place come and tell me that's his property because he buy it.
But
No, to be honest,
You
as a young
see,
person, that is
one problem that we also have as we on the topic of foreigners. Now, just a couple years ago, Kitaka, I don't know if you remember, Kalish should be aware. There were some guys at a beach in the eastern side of the country that their property was bulldozed by a foreigner. They called on the minister, Minister Oliver Joseph, to come in and intervene in the process, and nothing was done. This was done by a foreigner to locals. Now, even in the conversation, when we look at our jobs that are available, even the most prominent jobs in Grenada are not necessarily offered to Grenadians who are qualified and living in Grenada. Now, I remember even the tourism sector. I believe it was a gentleman named Mr. Rudy Grant who came from Barbados, a Bajan national who came to manage our tourism industry. And I do believe, I'm not sure if anything has changed since my last observation, but I do believe there is a foreigner who is also there. And when we look at our laws in Grenada, the implementation of these laws that are in black and white on the books and the execution of these laws by those in office, they are totally contrary to each other. Now, persons must be issued a work permit and so on. And in order to issue a work permit, right, a national should not be able to do the job that is being offered for that person who is going to get that work permit. But we have seen many times where this is not the case. The law also indicates that the job must be advertised. And if no one locally can get it, then the work permit could be issued and we could bring in a foreign person. But we in Grenada, I do agree that certain times we accept too many things. I believe it's because we may not be aware of what the law states, or we might not be aware of what our rights are. So I personally do have an issue with knowing that we have qualified Grenadians and they are not being utilized, they are not being employed. In fact, our employment rate, I don't believe realistically it is what it is said to be by those in authority. Looking at so many different situations, we have heard, I just trace a little bit, we have heard what we have had inquest and so on. Looking at the news tonight, we were informed by Mr. Vanny Cohen of the RGPF that they had to seek the they had to seek some information from a gentleman who is in Trinidad. to deal with the pathology, right? The results of a death of a 23-year-old. We do have Grenadians who came back from away and they were qualified. I know that they did apply to the RGPF, they did apply to the DPP's office, but to no avail. The jobs were not offered to them. Right, so it's really sad when we speak about foreigners and we speak about Grenada and we speak about the foreign investments. Um, the jobs as well, the jobs, it's a really terrible situation that we have to deal with, and too many persons in Grenada are being victimized, and one may think, and they would be justified for thinking so, that the laws apparently do not apply to foreign investors. The Granite Beach situation that we had with the Silver Sands. I believe it was Kalisha. Kalisha stated specifically that, no matter what the Grenadian people might say, things actually just continue happening. The Grenadian people had protested against the illegal erection of that building, Silver Sands on the beach, which belongs to Grenadians. And it still went up, despite what the law says. The laws have not been amended, but the building is still there. And it's unfortunate, it's sad, it's painful that this is the situation. And I would like to, invite every Grenadian, maybe last week or yesterday or even today, maybe we did not speak about our rights. But it is time that we get involved. And I believe this is all this show is saying to the Grenadian people, that we need to look after each other. We need to look after our locals. We need to stand for our rights. We stand for something else, we will lose everything eventually. And this is what is happening. So,
One of the things, Earl, if I may come in here, I was speaking to a foreigner and I was totally shocked to be told that, well, I would call them chain gangs, where, the only difference is we don't have chain on their feet, what they're doing in America to our black brothers. There are prisoners here that go and work for foreigners on their farm for free, and it's very difficult to believe, as I said, and maybe all you could look into that this is going on. I've been told that happens, and this person was saying they just bought a farm and they were saying they were offered prisoners to come and work there by the ministry. As I said, I don't know how true it is, but then again, I was also told that we are investigating that at the moment, that one of our estates in Grenada was given back to the slave owners, grandchildren or ancestors. And if that happens, I'm not going to just sit down, because in that area, that's an area I am from, and my family there are some slavery. It will really, there are so many people now abroad in England, America, that is fighting that we could be compensated, the Caribbean, because of the what has slavery done to the Caribbean, and for our government to take that land and give it back to the slave owners' children. This is it really, if this is true, as I said, we investigating, that means the people that are running our country are sick. After what our ancestors been through, and our government would take that estate after Maurice Bishop took that estate away. And I think I was speaking to this man, Michael, I think you knows him, and he was saying, Michael Batiste, he may be able to explain some more of this thing to us. People are coming back.
Miss McQueen, you're saying that day, but I just last year when the prince or whoever from England come here, total red carpet in the country, place locked down, you can't go there, you can't go there, people jumping up in the street, them men going to walk on Ghanaian's beach, people dancing around, clunging on for them people and them. So even if that happening, if that happening when the quote unquote royal family come, who is basically the families and them that had the institution of slavery operating here, that had my great grandmother bending down a whole day, planting sugarcane and beating all kind of thing. Come in and get this kind of welcome. Governor General and them bowing their head and grinning, kiki. What I say about us, where we is. So what you're talking about is the same that is like soft compared to what we going through. So then imagine if we're doing that, selling a plantation for them is joke, because when they come here, they get red cap it. When they're supposed to be paying reparations and so on and really paying back for what they have done, continuously raping the country, we giving them red cap it. So we really sleeping and it just pain my heart. I just be
It
crying
pains,
sometimes when I
You,
yeah,
come through,
you,
guys.
it pains me too. It really
yeah,
pains me too.
you
And it
know,
should pain all of us.
the thing is, it's very uncomforting to know that there's so much secrecy when it comes to state finances and state lands and so on. Just recently, we have learned about what is happening to the Annandale waterfalls. I believe, it would no longer, or it doesn't seem it would no longer belong to Grenada or Grenadians, as a matter of fact. Um, and I remember going there in recent times when I was able to enter free as a local and say now that it is going to be leased or sold or whatever the case is to whoever. I am concerned. As a Grenadian citizen, I am concerned. And I humbly believe that seeing that we cannot sell a beach, right, or refuse Grenadians access to a beach, I am of the humble opinion that this should be the same for a waterfall that belongs to Grenadians. I mean, how many resources, how many things do we have as Grenadians who live in Grenada? And the thing is, time reveals all. Time reveals all. But we should not be here tonight. I should not be here tonight, assuming who Annandale would fall into the possession of. I should actually know this. This is supposed to be public information provided to the public. But in Grenada, the sad reality is that public information is not being provided to the public. The secrecy, it's terrible. It is really terrible, and I don't know how many times that I could reiterate how painful and embarrassing it is. But I really do have to say that, and we really need to look at ourselves. Kataka spoke about the print that came in, I believe it was sometime last year, November or something like that. And I was really appalled by the welcome to this gentleman. We have our own people in Grenada that we need to look after, that we need to treat better. And the better treatment would start with us as individuals. Because if I was to walk into a shop or anywhere, as a matter of fact, with a slippers, a ripped up pants, and an old jersey, the way that I would be treated as a Grenadian national, as a brother to the people in Grenada, it's a really sad thing, and this is the first time that I can honestly say in my 3 decades that I have seen any officers of the RGPF on Grand Anne's Beach, and they were not patrolling, but instead they were escorting the prince and whoever else came in, and they were on the beach walking in uniform. This is something that we would like to see every day, where our officers, no matter what your rank is, we would like to see you come to the communities and associate with the persons that you are being paid to protect and serve. Better the relations with the people of Grenada. There's too much hatred, there's too much crime, and the little gestures could reach a very long way. It could reach a very long way.
And Roderick Thomas said, "Bro, what will be will be." That makes me sad because it seems like maybe Roderick is just fed up. And he's saying, something, I'm just fed up. What will be will be. And we cannot. A lot of people are fed up because even going back on Annandale, was it ever advertised? It seems like nothing is not advertised. They just come and say this has been sold, or we have an investor for this person, because there are so many Grenadians, as someone earlier on said, that has the money in Grenada and abroad that could invest. So a group of people, even though it's not one, but it seems like if this one family in Grenada cannot invest, then they give it to a foreigner. They don't ask Grenadians to come together and do something about it. You know, I remember going to the school where you were saying about celebrating Earl, and when we won the water, and going to teach the children about how important it is to read, and when they're drinking water, be careful of what they are drinking. And we were told that when we come into the school, we were told that the ministry say we can come and speak about the water in the school, but we cannot name or the brand. We cannot say Monk Pure Water has these minerals and Monk Pure Water has won the prize. So we can just come and speak about water. It just makes you wonder who it is that is teaching our children not to be proud of what they have. And that is the reason why if NAWASA is being sold to the Chinese or whoever it is, I wouldn't be surprised. And if that happened, this is the only time a lot of us will start to say, oh, this water, this Chinese person bought it and it's the best water, and we will be we'll be very proud to boast about somebody else doing something for Grenada, as long as it's not a Grenadian doing it. You know something, and I don't think it's about educating. It's about educating our children so they could be proud of something that we have done. So many people in Grenada does not even know they have a water that is voted one of the best in the world, because we will not speak about it because it is Grenadian. It is a
Well,
Grenadian
you know,
product.
Miss McQueen, as the owner of Monk Pure Water, um, you are the one who must lead the way in singing Monk Pure's praises far and wide. It's a commercial venture, and while the government and the Board of Tourism and all of these people are not doing it, eventually the word will get out just by your works, because you certainly wouldn't. And you know, it is
But
interesting that the
Kanisha,
schools,
when you
it's
have to,
interesting that the school said to you, I mean, that's not how it works. You have a good brand and you need to publicize it, and you spend the money on the marketing, and you come up with marketing strategies, and you get the word out there, because it is a private venture for all companies, any companies, which is why I have a problem when I see the Prime Minister appearing on camera with a bottle of Glenelg in his hand or on the desk next to him. That's why I have a problem when the only water that's used in cabinet is Glenelg water, and no other bottled water in the country gets a chance to be on the table during the cabinet meetings on Monday. That any news conference the government is having, any public event the government is having, any seminars, conferences, workshops, everything, that it is only Glenelg that they use. Most of these events are captured on camera. And so the government has provided a massive amount of advertising. I mean, when the leader of a country, when the prime minister of a country associates himself with a brand, this is advertisement that you cannot pay for. It's major advertising and marketing for you. So we have the prime
well, one
minister
of
of the country has spent the prime minister of the country has spent the last few years advertising and marketing for Glenelg spring water, and I've always said that this is wrong. Okay, it's obscene. That they need to, just a second, sweetie, that they need to interchange. They need to sometimes they would need to use Aqua Blue. Sometimes they use Glenelg. Sometimes they use Mont Pure, and use all of the local water that we have here. It sends a message of supporting local. It also
I
sends a
totally
message of being fair and unbiased.
I
And
totally agree.
really,
Kanisha,
it's one.
one of the things again, I think with the ministries or any government building, I think what should happen every year we should have it should be tended out to all the water companies. And there are office buildings here that only will take one water, and it seems that, as I said, it's not encouraging for people to come. If I didn't have a good business, we would have been suffocated even before we lift our head. Every year, they should put it out there and let us bid for that space, whether it's myself or Blue or Glenn, give every one of us the opportunity. But it does not go out there. It does not put out. Look at last year for Christmas, just to go. Can you imagine wanting to go and celebrate Christmas on the Carenage? I only got through because I had to threaten the tourist board to take legal action against them. And you know the saddest thing about it? The workers was upset with me. If you see the way they was laughing at me, and in the end, they put us right down. They pushed us away like we were the adopted children. And I went up to one person, I can't remember the name, a lady with a short hair, and I said to her, you know, why this is where we were before. Why have they pushed us where there was no one? And she didn't really care. And I thought to myself, we have worked so hard. Isn't there any encouragement to say, well, well done, let us show off our water. They have worked so hard. We have visitors. Let us help them in branding or whatever it is. But it's not that way. But, still, people that are listening out there, don't give up. I was told somebody, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, as I said to you, for that, you have to start around your little brown envelope under the counter and pass the money and thing. You don't pass the money, you don't buy out nobody, you don't have no friends, no way, come on. You don't come in and conversation for 7 and talk that, you have to run some money if you want to do this kind of deal. But I hear things that you have people in Grenada that only sponsor in the family, when the family doing something. When you as a little outsider from country come down to do something, nobody in sponsor in your program, nobody don't want to give you nothing because you don't have a surname and you don't have this. When it's 100 and something thousand of us say, well, why a few have to just eat and the rest can eat? And we just talk about the elites and the 1% in America and thing, but they here in Grenada with the knee and the necks of the people. And we have to really open our eyes because it's not fair.
Well,
We have to wrap up. But we have to wrap up.
The only people who can remove the knees from our necks here are the Grenadians, and the state of the nation, the amount of things that have happened within the last 8 years or so in Grenada, we're coming to a boiling point that is not going to go well for the country. After a while, when people suffer too much, they will just get angry and they'll begin to behave foolishly, and it's not going to go well for any of us. I think that a comfortable government will continue to do whatever they wish to do, and if there's some measure of discomfort, then people think twice about their action, and would make an effort to do the right thing. Of course, no government is perfect, and they won't get everything right all the time. They are human too, but this is beyond what is tolerant, what the people should be allowed or forced to tolerate. We've gone way past that, and the government is creating circumstances where our people are going to end up in abject poverty, um, total oppression. A lot of our prime lands being put into the hands of foreigners who we cannot expect and have any hope are going to care about the interests of the working class and the ordinary people in the country. If we believe that they would, then we are very naive and stupid. We cannot believe that. And so it is the duty of every Grenadian to stand up and say, enough is enough. It's time to stop, and it's time to make some decisions that are actually going to benefit our children. And at this point in time, there's only one way to stop what is happening. Only one way. And I want the public to figure it out for themselves. You guys know what you have to do, and it has nothing to do with the ballot box. We also wanted to talk about the gentleman who, we're almost out of time, but we're just going to take the last 5 minutes to talk about the gentleman who, I believe it was in Fort Judy, was driving his vehicle, ran over a dog. I believe the dog died, and the dog owners are some white people who are living in Fort Judy, and as we know the Fort Judy story, who lives there, and how the area is viewed and that kind of thing. And apparently, they would have assaulted the man and beat upon him. He had a busted lip and so on, suffered injury and so on. Apparently, it was a fight of 4 against 1. And you look at white people and they look skinny and soft and not as strong and powerful as us. But when they go crazy, and according to the white Americans, when they go batshit crazy, they can really go crazy and put a beat down on you. And
Oh
apparently,
God.
they totally kicked this guy around. And when I heard about it this evening, I said, you know what? A black man allowing some white person, and I'm sorry, this is going to sound racist, guys, but, a black man allowing a group of white people to beat him up in Grenada, it's just not right. It's just not right. It's just not right. And it really angered me that it happened. But of course, you fight as well as your skill or your physical strength allows you to fight. And as far as I understand that, Earl, you said that the man was unwell to begin with. He was not a very strong or healthy man to begin with, and this happened. And apparently the police is trying to behave in the case the way they behave with my cases. Earl, we're not
Oh,
hearing
not hearing you all.
Yes. How is this?
Yeah.
Right. So yes, I believe the nation was very shocked tonight when we tuned into one of the local news stations and we saw that gentleman and the condition he was in. He was broken. He was shaken. He was unable to speak properly. In fact, his wife had to do all of the talking relating the events that occurred to brought them to GBN. And many times we continue to say that we have noticed how many persons, including myself, will have to turn to the media to get justice. And we have the Black Lives Matter movement that has gone global, and we have this gentleman here in Grenada who has alleged, and it seems to be true, we have seen his condition, who has alleged that 4 persons had jumped him, attacked him, busted up his lip and everything like that. It's terrible. His wife said he was actually sick before all of that happened. So I believe that is possibly why he was unable to properly defend himself. But what got my greatest attention was the fact that his wife said the members of the RGPF who came to the scene and were to take the report told her in order to pursue the matter, she would have to do it privately. Now, that Kalisha, even with your case, based on what we have seen going on, based on our observation and of course our encounters with the RGPF, that is not hard to believe, but I am still hopeful that maybe the lady has misunderstood what the RGPF has said, in the event that she did not misunderstand what they said and they were not willing to actually pursue the case where there should be criminal charges of assault laid against these 4 persons who attacked the sickly man in front of his wife and young worker. I want to use the opportunity to appeal to the persons at the Royal Grenada Police Force, including Mr. Kerwin, because I did hear the reporter from the local media station say that they contacted Mr. Kerwin as the head of the Community Relations Department, and he did not give any comment on the matter. So we do not know if investigations are ongoing at this time based on the report, but I surely hope that it is ongoing and some charges would be laid. So this gentleman and his family, his wife especially, would see some sort of justice. It is really embarrassing to be
Um,
beaten like
that is why it's good to have your little gang Because if this had happened to me, by the time I pass in Mama Can and pick up Kitaka and the lot and head for Munich, when I coming back down, pick up my family in Pomerose, maybe I may stop by the stadium and pick up a few of my relatives there. We don't need the
Problem,
police.
problems. Big four man bullet. Four man bullet.
We don't call it
Four man bullet.
we don't call it police. You remember when I was growing up as a child and I go home and I said, Reggie beat me, my mother tell me go back and beat him back. You know, we won't be caught. I could tell you we definitely won't be going for the police. You know, the police. I always say, you know, there's a Jamaican always have a saying that Jumbie know who to frighten. I always
Well,
heard that something like that happened to me.
certainly, I hope that the wife misunderstood, but I would not be surprised if the police felt that going into an area like Fort Judy, that the police themselves felt like this was something they should not
Yes.
interfere in because it's it's white people and they might not have two pennies to rub together. All they may have had was the money to buy the house that they're living in Fort Judy.
But Kalisha,
The impression would be that
Kalisha,
they're better than us, and the police themselves may have felt that they could tell the woman that. I hope
Kalisha,
you know what.
didn't your mother, didn't,
McQueen, hold on.
sorry.
And Vanny Cowan saying, you said that the news media, and sometimes they misunderstand when people say things to them, and sometimes the way they express news does not reflect the information they were given. So as you were speaking, Earl, that ran through my mind as to whether or not Vanny Cowan said what he said the way they said he said it. Because I would think that if you said the police was on the scene, so that means a report was made. So when you call the community relations department as a reporter to get a comment on the situation, even if the police does not want to give details because the matter is under investigation, then the proper answer to give is that yes, a report has been made and the matter is under investigation. We don't want to make any further comments. But from what you are saying, the news reported, it's as if Cohen just said we're not commenting on it at all, which makes me wonder what's going on behind the scenes with that case. It feels like if that was the response, then something is going on behind the scenes. There's some sensitivity on the part of the police in dealing with this matter, which is why they are reluctant to give even the standard answer that they would normally and would properly so give in a case like that. No, I certainly hope that the police are not trying to push this on the road because it's white people or because of where they live or because of who they are or anything like that.
But
If in fact this is happening, it's just another twig, another branch to put on the bonfire.
I think it's where Kalisha, where we come from, they always say, report it to the police, report it to your teacher, and if they don't take action, then you have to deal with it. So maybe that's what the people and them did. They reported it to the police. And if the police does not take the action that it deserves, then the people may have to sort it out themselves.
And we're getting closer and closer to the sort it out yourself issue. I remember at a news conference a few months ago, one of the things that I think was it Mr. Prince, Desmond Prince, Assistant Commissioner, was saying, or one of the senior guys, that people need to come to them more when they have problems. They were speaking about why there's an escalation of violence in the country where people are choosing to settle things themselves. Although I wish people would turn all that angst in the right direction where it belongs instead of against their own brothers and sisters who are in the same circumstances and who look like them. But they were saying that people are choosing to deal with things themselves and they really need to check the police. And people are choosing to deal with things themselves because the police has let down the nation, because the police have refused more often than not to do their jobs and do their jobs properly and played favoritism or were too lazy to leave the station, or they knew the other party involved in the issue, or just did not care, or the other person who was involved has money or is white or lives in a good area or whatever, and for a lot of various reasons. For me, I know that the police have not dealt with a lot of my matters. I've had to face a lot of victimization from political supporters of the new National Party. A lot of people from various levels associated with the party have come after me physically and otherwise for the last few years. They keep coming. I mean, as recent as a week ago, someone who is closely affiliated with the Peter David camp um, came after me with a cutlass with absolutely no provocation. One of my dogs ran after him. He picked up a stone like this big and pelted after the dog. The dog ran home. And I was going somewhere and I kept on going and my dog was not on a leash at the time. So I didn't have a leg to stand on in terms of saying, no, don't hit my dog. So I chose not to say anything and I simply ignored the situation and kept on going. And he actually got upset that I would not engage him in a confusion over my dog barking. And so he went to his home and took a cutlass and came after me. Now I called the police. And when the police found out they began taking the report. And when I gave my name, the police said, leave your number, I'm going to call you back. I said to the police, there's a guy standing there with a cutlass in his hand. And he insisted that he wanted my number so he could call me back. So there is a police in a police station, in the central police station, I believe he said his name was Edwards or something, who was willing to leave me at the mercy of somebody with a cutlass, probably hoping that I would be killed, because I'm sure that would solve a lot of problems for a lot of people. Without even, as a police officer, he did not care that my life was in danger at the time. He insisted, I will leave your number, I will call you back. Now, maybe he would have genuinely called me back, but as a police officer, aren't you thinking what could possibly happen? Because if you hear somebody's being threatened with a cutlass, you need to dispatch officers immediately to deal with the situation before you come and get a more serious issue. So
I have to give the technique. I have to give the technique, Alistair. The technique to get the police to come fast is to tell them that there is marijuana in your house or whatever. You see a man with 20 something pound of Vinci, man, a 200 pound of weed, and they're gonna planting the weed. If you tell them that, tell yourself you hear the siren going up and they run it come up. For domestic violence, they taking long. If you have mental issues, you faint. I know a woman pregnant, she could down a ride, she calling, she can't get you. But anything to do with the MARJUANA, they're coming quickly, and that's very sad. The RGPF have to do a lot of work to improve. And even now under the COVID laws, where they're abusing the powers of the COVID-19 Emergency Act, within that kind of situation. And for me, the individual I get beat up from the white front, from the quote unquote white people, and the police kind of moving slow. I see that most of the time because I know Grenada people just be kind of timid, and I know a lot of the white people have that kind of superiority complex where some of them feel like they are all of that. So when they go inside the police officer and they say, hey, I'm not doing that, and what, they get everything go their way. And then our local people, they pray to speak, pray to communicate and stand up for their rights. And so it's unfortunate, and I think this man had to really step up and stand up and be strong. And sometimes go in the route of the RGPF and the judicial system might be a waste of time, as Ms. McQueen say. Where you come from, home and bullet.
Early wanted to make a point. Go ahead, Earl.
Yeah, just a quick point. You remember recently we had a murder in the West Hall area, and based on what the media had reported and persons in that area there, the gentleman that committed the murder actually on the police a few times, and he didn't get any redress. He also went to the media, the local media, and said, look, there's this guy, my neighbor or whatever, he is continuously harassing me and so on, but nothing was done. And one of the duties of the members of GPF is to prevent crime. That's one of their duties, to prevent crime, not just to detect it. And many persons would be calling the RGPF and saying, hey, look, we have somebody here, a cutlass or whatever it is. And the bad thing is, Kalishra, your situation is not unique. You understand? This is something that has been happening for years. We have the stories of officers, although the RGPF receives many donations, bicycles, vehicles from everybody. We got vehicles from China. We got vehicles from that place in Tempe there. I can't remember the name of the company. We got two vehicles. One person's called the RGPF. They are saying they don't have any transportation, right? And the amount of time that they spend on the phone call instead of dispatching somebody, asking the most ridiculous questions. There was a night, um, I made a call to the Royal Grenada Police Force. There's a gentleman that lives at the back of my mother's house. Um, I heard this gentleman bawling. He was actually bawling, help, help, help. So I went to drop KFC for my mom, and I heard this gentleman bawling out. So I went to see what was happening, because my mother lives right there by herself. And if there's something happening in the area, I need to do what I could do to make sure that it would not happen to my mother. So I told my mom to call the police, and I went to see what was happening. Now, when I got back, the questions were along the lines of what country is this white gentleman from? The one that's balling help. We don't have any transport. How long has he been living there? Do you know him? Do you speak to him? We need persons to be properly trained. When we saying that we need persons to be trained, we're not just speaking about spending 6 months in the police force. We need them to be able to respond to emergencies, to ask the right questions, and get the information to the officers who are on the way when they are going to be dispatched. One of the worst things is calling the police station after 10. And you could tell that the person who is answering the phone has actually been sleeping. I mean, we all live in Grenada. We have seen that police stations close their doors, right, at night. And I am wondering, why is this possible? I brought it to the attention of the present commissioner of police. I spoke to Mr. Jesman Prince as well about the situation, and I'm saying to them that this is a bit absurd. We have persons who are being paid to actually execute a duty on the night shift. And then I also said, what about security officers who are on the night shift? They rest in the day. Now, if their employers were to come on the compounds and see them sleeping away, what would happen? And we're speaking about persons that are dealing with national security, and they are allowed to just free up and just do whatever they want.
But,
You call
but
their assistants.
all you're saying that I think they're lucky. They're lucky. Grenada is a nice place. Some people are really doing them kind of thing. But my thing is, the issue I'm having is how no, like people are forced to take matters in their own hands. And when you take matters in your own hands, no, you still getting the full brunt of the law. Like let's say farmers. Farmers are still hard for farmers. They'll tell the farmer, "Hey, you plant down 5,000 lettuce or 5,000 melon or whatever you plant, and months go in your wet in your melon and you're doing your work. And one day, bro, you walk and you meet a man in your land clearing out your melon to go and sell. Why are you doing that moment? Most farmers know what a farmer doing. They take a phone and call the police. Or you just start to deal with that man one time. And as a farmer, I sometimes feel like people doesn't understand, but who feels it knows it. In that situation, you don't have time to call the police. That's not justice. That man had to, even me personally, if I in that situation, that man had to fear for his life. Because I am waiting. And because if you understand when you go in this court system, they tell you they take 5 hours to reach. Or they don't even come at all, the man take all your mail and go and sell it and you sit down there watching the man. So I mean it puts us in a sticky situation. Because if COVID situation come with man do have money and man do have things and man brooks and the thing get grimy and crime increase, what going on? So this even them men have long belly in front of them. As a police, when you want to train, you have to be fit as a fiddle. Some of them police, if I have my little weed and I dey on the side of the street and them men come, I run out of them men in 2 seconds. 2 seconds because they don't fit like so much things that to go on. Even the abuse and how they just try to go beyond to the young ladies and them when they are case. And them young ladies are domestic violence cases. Instead of the police and them take care of them young ladies, they try to seek the personal interest to eat. And all them crazy thing happening. So I think Mr.
They try
Martin,
to
you
beg
have a
them
lot of
for
work to do.
woman. Yes.
Mr. Martin, you have a lot of work to do. You have a lot of work
I
to do. And
wanna
this police force, a lot of work to be done in this
Um,
police force. Guys, problems.
I wanna
there's a lot of we out of time, guys. Last word from me, and then we have to wrap up. All women have to have you again. A lot of work to be done, absolutely everywhere. And it requires, I don't think all of the work being tackled separately it's going to work. It requires the public to send a strong message. And when I say the public, I mean the masses and the working class. You know, the police is less than 100,000, less than 1,000. The foreigners are less than 2,000 or 3,000 in Grenada, if that much. The whites, the white foreigners, the politicians are less than 50, really. And so the numbers add up in the favor of the people, and the people must understand that the numbers mean something, and the numbers it represents a level of strength that can allow them to take their country back. You know, you don't have to remove the government, you simply have to remind the government that they are the powerless ones and not the people. And it requires, as my 9-year-old son was saying before the program started, and you guys heard him, that, you know, as Black people, and in this case as Grenadians, we need to band together in order to maintain, to elevate ourselves to a position of strength and superiority. Else it's just going to get worse, and our daughters are going to continue to be made into whores, and our sons into thieves who have to go to Richmond Hill because they can't feed their families, and no one wants that. So that's all the time we have tonight. Thank you very much for all of our folks who contributed with comments and questions. And Cynthia Fraz, the dog was on a collar, although it was not on a leash. I think what you meant to say
Kalistra.
between a leash and the collar.
Yeah. Before we go, no, like I was to respond to a comment. No, Saisha was on the comments asking about, like, we have to talk about marijuana again.
Saisha is going to have to wait a little while to come on to push his agenda that is going to allow him to use his marijuana whenever he wants. We have a lot of more pressing topics to deal with.
No, there's a pressing topic, Kalistra. Hey, there's a pressing topic for me. That is I miss McQueen, because Miss McQueen, we have to go and get a license.
I got my land ready, Kalistra. It's a very pressing topic for me.
You know
Saisha, we're going to go and demonstrate.
Even if the government decriminalizes marijuana, the licensing fee is going to be so high that still.
No. Well, that what I'm fighting for, Kalistra. Kalistra, that is my biggest. That is my biggest fight. My biggest fight is for the local man, is for the local farmers, and them is for the man on the ground to be able to benefit. So we have to fight for ensuring that this licensing is not for the Egyptian.
Even if we get to the point of decriminalization, it is not going to be to the benefit of the small farmer. The government, and any government that comes into power, and particularly this one, who, based on how things are going, they are going to be in power for the next 2 or 3 terms, unless somebody gets their act together and provides some proper opposition. I mean, they're doing so many things to lose the election, but nobody is capitalizing on creating an environment where they can get rid of them once and for all. But if
we have to change that.
The conditions that are going to be placed, what the laws are going to say, is going to exclude the small man. It's going to be just so the big guys are the ones. Why is it you think? Listen to me.
Well, Miss McQueen. But Miss McQueen, hold on. I know. But here we going on. If I have to become like Robert Mugabe and take back the land, Miss McQueen, Aisha, and we take him back the land and we govern. So I ain't worried about that. And only I ain't worried about that.
Well, to take back the lands, we have to be a Morris Bishop or an Eric Gary to take back the lands.
Rolanda McQueen, Saisha Williams, all Maitland, Kitaka Mahutu, Kalista.
When you sell, no, you see, it will be different, because when you sell something,
let me share I'll tell you thing.
When you sell, we sell it. Our grandmothers, our parents are selling the land now, so we can't go and take it back anymore. You know, it's been.
I have real land in Mama Ken. I have a land in Mama Ken. I'm going to pay Mama Ken and I'm going to survey all my land and put it on my name. All acres in the bush up there. I'm going to take it and put it on my name. So I have about 50 acres. So don't worry.
Tell them how we just do it up there. We don't wait till we have a gang.
Yeah, don't
But
worry.
Kitaka, and you know what? Decriminalization still is not, lack of decriminalization still isn't getting in the way of production. So on that note, thank you everybody for being on the program, and free the weed and free the country and free the people. Bye everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna drink some marijuana tea right now.
I'm going to go and smoke my spliff now.
I'm waiting